Kena, Bridge of Spirits. I'm gonna go through all the pronunciations of her name that I've heard in this game, and one of them will be right one day. And this is the video where we're gonna go after another relic, trying to find Taro. And this video is a little bit shorter than the previous one, which is normal. The previous relic was a collection one where we had to wander around and collect a bunch of shrines, basically. And that's going to be pretty usual. The collection relics are going to take longer than the ones that are just go from point A to B and then defeat a boss or two. And this video technically has two bosses. This one is Mage, but I don't really consider it a boss because it's pretty weak. I think this could have been acceptable as a regular enemy, but the Mage does have some pretty heavy attacks that you do have to watch out for. So he'll spawn, or she'll spawn, I don't know, a bunch of those little tiny sprout enemies, and then she'll throw a fireball at you that you can shoot, and if you don't shoot it, it will hit you, but if you shoot it when it's too close to you, it'll still hit you. And then she'll sometimes do like a charge-up attack like that one where she holds a ball of light in her hand, or other mages might tether you with an ability, and it's really bad if those things go off, so you'll want to stun them. And for this mage, we can stun them by shooting the ball of light.
But I suspect Taro's spirit will fight to the end.
And then our friend Rusu is going to open up the portal for us, which is something we'll be able to do ourselves eventually. Spoiler alert, I guess. And then we're going to run into this little forest area again, although this whole area is forest, so I don't really know why that's surprising to me. And there's just going to be side areas to sort of explore, and rot to move rocks out of the way so we can find enemies here or more rot. And with these two rocks, I think it's just filled with a lot more enemies. So we'll just try to kill these guys really quick, and then we'll just work our way toward the boss near the end of the video. I forgot what his name was, but like I said, I don't think he was very hard either, at least after that stupid vine champion guy with the sword that he throws at you. Like, that guy is for real the hardest enemy in the game for me, and other people are probably going to disagree, but it's just the kind of game where you struggle for, you know, different enemies than other people do for some weird reason, and that enemy I just have the hardest time in the world defeating, but that's not really the point now. So if we come over here to the left side, we'll see this cliff that we can jump up, so we'll just start climbing up the cliffs here. And then we're going to see some corruption on the right side, so we can break that open pretty easily. We shouldn't have to do anything special for that. And if we come on back here and go down this little sideway, there's going to be just another box or something like that. Looks like camping gear, yeah. And it'll be another wisp that we can follow that'll tell us a little bit more about Taro's story. It's always worth trying to get those because you do get a lot of karma from them, but it is kind of interesting that it's sort of off to the side and it's somewhat easy to miss. So as we walk into this part of the forest, we're going to notice some crystals on the trees, and if we pay a little bit better attention, we can see this glowing crystal. So we've done this before. We had to do this to get into the forest a video or two ago. And then we're just going to follow the little sparklies that are in the air and shoot those as they show up. And we only have to do 3 this time, then a tear is going to drop. So we'll pick up the tear with the rot and drop it into the plant. So the forest tear should grow, and now we can clear a bunch of the corruption around us. side pathway has a meditation point that gives us a lot of extra health, so always collect these. And then we'll just destroy some of this corruption on this rightmost pathway. So this area is somewhat complicated if you want to get all the collectibles, and I don't think I show getting the shrine that's to our left, but I'll maybe try to explain where you can throw the tier in, because once we clear this corruption out of the way, there's going to be a bunch of these enemies that spawn, and there's going to be more corruption on the left and right sides of us. We'll just try to walk past that. I don't think it does anything if you walk through it, but whatever, I'm not going to find out. And then there's going to be more enemies here that are thankfully not as hard to deal with because we have a bow and arrow now. And it takes like 5 or 6 hits to hurt a lot of these enemies with a bow and arrow, or not bow and arrow, with our staff. And it might take like 2 hits to kill them with the bow and arrow, so it's kind of cool that we do have a strong weapon like that now. We can activate this other forest tier by shooting that crystal on that tree and then breaking more of the corruption. And remember, you can use the corruption, or you can use the forest tier to attack the enemies too, and it's very strong, so if you ever have it available, try to use it, because it's gonna usually distract the enemies. It seems that the enemies tend to leave you alone while you're busy controlling this thing, so it's kind of nice that way. You don't really have to worry too much about losing that much health, and it just kills the enemies so dang fast that it's less for you to have to actually worry about. But it is limited, it will run out eventually, and I managed to kill 2 of those guys before it ran out, and then more spawn. No big deal, we'll just defeat them as they come up. And then we'll blow up that plant, get rid of this corruption, and now we can get the secret shrine that is up through that cave with the corruption blocking it, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to drop on down and slide into the earth here. And this is where our boss is going to be soon. If you notice, there's a lot of these little lanterns littered throughout. What is the world in this game called? Whatever Kenna's world is, they're everywhere. And if you shoot them, you get currency to buy hats with, or you can just spam your magic ability everywhere and you'll pick them up all the time. We'll step on the button and open up the doorway and get ready for this boss. Alright, the Shrine Guardian. So this guy's a little bit misleading because it looks like he has a lot of weak points, but as I've mentioned before, those stupid things on his body don't really do a whole lot of damage to him, but they do drop more rock crystals, or whatever they're called, and that is good to have lying around for when you just need to collect extra to get your rod up. So he's going to spawn enemies pretty much endlessly, and that's another theme you're going to start noticing with bosses, is you're very rarely going to fight a boss one-on-one. You probably could count the amount of bosses that it's just you and the boss in this game on one hand. Once the Shrine Guardian gets on the ground and starts throwing vines at you, which he seems to do when he's close to half health, then his bulb on his back will open up and you can throw your rot on him and do a lot of damage to him. But you're not going to be able to do that again once he does more of his vine attacks, because his bulb is now destroyed, and it did do a lot of damage, but it didn't do like that much damage, you know. So we're still going to have to try to fight him the normal way, and some more crystals I think got revealed, so that's kind of just more points we can try to aim for. And otherwise it's just going to be a matter of trying to dodge his attacks and get a lot of hits in, and luckily his attacks are pretty slow between attacks, even though his attacks tend to be pretty devastating when they do hit you. So you can get a lot of hits in on him when he's not actually going for you. But you are going to want to be careful, because sometimes he'll swipe like that where I could barely even see him on my screen and he hits me anyway. And then he's going to do like an attack where he's throwing nothing, and then he's going to do vines again, and that's just sort of a attack that just happens randomly right about now. I don't think there's any more health things that are activated, and when he's done with the vines, if he's still on the ground, he will do that pulse attack that, again, I feel like I was well out of the way of, but the game didn't care. It decided to hit me anyway, and luckily there's still a lot of these health flowers left for me, because this is probably the third or fourth attempt I've had on this guy. So I was a little bit more careful, got sloppy near the end, but there we go. Managed to defeat him. He's a pretty tough one. He's probably one of the harder ones so far. And that will be all I have for this video.